Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at this 2022 Toyota Tundra. The Tundra is all new for 2022. It's all new for the first time since the 2007 model year. The previous generation Tundra was pretty much the oldest new vehicle you could buy in the United States. This one in particular, you can probably already tell, it's a crew cab model. It has the 5.5-foot short bed. It uses the regular gas V6. It's not a hybrid. And it is a limited trim with the TRD off-road package. I mentioned that it uses the regular turbo V6, a new 3.4 liter. It's being marketed as a 3.5 liter, but it is in fact 3.4 liter. I assume they're marketing it as 3.5 to compete with Ford. But either way, 3.4 liter twin turbo V6. It makes 389 horsepower and 479 pounds-feet of torque. That is mated to a new 10-speed automatic transmission. Toyota's approach in general to things is pretty conservative. While the American manufacturers generally design their trucks for both work and personal use, the Tundra feels like it's designed more for personal use than anything else. This is aimed at people who own a truck for commuting, who own a truck for private use rather than commercial use. Toyota doesn't really sell these to fleets, and in a lot of ways those things are evident in the design of this new Tundra. Overall, it's certainly an improvement over the previous generation Tundra. In my opinion, it doesn't really do anything to upset the hierarchy when it comes to full-size trucks, but at the end of the day, I think this thing will probably find a lot of buyers who will be pretty content with it. So let's do a little tour of the new Tundra here. This has been a long time coming, and then take it out for a little drive. So the new Tundra certainly takes an aggressive approach when it comes to design. There's a huge grille up front, kind of looks like an upside-down horseshoe. I'm not sure if that was on purpose. Kind of also looks like a Hulk Hogan goatee. Anyway, the non-TRD Pro model has a Toyota logo up front. For the TRD Pro version, there will be a Toyota word mark in its place. And then, because this one has the TRD off-road package, there's a TRD logo right there on the side. Down here it says Tundra. Something I noticed here, this must be the radar cruise control sensor, but I don't know how well you can read that. It says do not paint. So yeah, definitely a sensor right there. Down here are the fog lights, and then here's the whole headlight. So it goes from there all the way back to here, and then all the way down here. This is a vent right here, but yeah, kind of an intricate headlight design. Something pretty insane to me. Toyota's a company known for its trucks and known for off-road performance when it comes to its trucks, but the new Tundra doesn't have any recovery points up front here. That is absolutely insane to me. There aren't any on the TRD Pro model either, so I'm not sure what you're supposed to do if you get stuck in this truck. It doesn't appear that there's any way to recover it from the front, so I'm not sure. Maybe Toyota doesn't want this to be used as an off-road vehicle. I don't know. Since this one has the TRD off-road package, you do get black wheels with a TRD emblem right there. And then these are 20-inch wheels, and they are wrapped in Falcon Wild Peak all-terrain tires. This is a very, very mild all-terrain tire. That's kind of Toyota's game. They use all-terrain tires, but more than anything, they're still designed to maximize this vehicle's fuel economy. On the side here, it says Tundra, something with the A-pillar. So you can see that it's painted body color under there, but they put this black wrap on it to give kind of a unique design touch there. Makes the roofline look like it's floating a little bit over this black A-pillar. Here's your limited emblem, chrome door handles. Something I noticed that I don't really like, there's only a passive keyless entry button on the front doors. So keys in my pocket, and I locked the car by touching the door handle there. Nothing on the back door. My personal vehicle is a 2008 Land Cruiser, so that vehicle is almost 15 years old, and it has passive keyless entry, lock and unlock on both doors. I'm not sure if higher trim levels have that on the back doors, but I was kind of surprised. One other thing up here, this one comes fitted with accessory rock sliders. So they do actually bolt to the frame, so they seem to be pretty functional, but they actually eat into what little payload capacity this vehicle already has. We'll get to that in a minute. Moving down the side, TRD off-road package gets you Bilstein shock absorbers. They're going to be slightly better off-road than your regular shock absorbers, but certainly not a high performance shock. They just offer a little bit more off-road tuning. Here's the rear. So badging consists of 4x4 Then it says Tundra right here. And there's a Toyota emblem in the tailgate handle. There's a step here. Toyota doesn't really have a proprietary step system like, say, Ford and General Motors offer. So they use this method right here. I assume this is an accessory. Feels really nice. First time I noticed a step like this was on the Nissan Titan. You kick it out with your foot and then climb into the bed. Feels really sturdy, and then just kick it in. The one on the Titan's a little more satisfying to kick in. This one's kind of have to kick it upward. Anyway, you can open the tailgate via a button back here, but you can also open it via a button right here. So that's integrated into this taillight design. So, oh, I locked the truck, so we will unlock it. Now that it's unlocked, there we go. As for the bed, this is the Tundra's 5.5-foot bed, so it's the smallest bed you can get with the new Tundra. The design overall seems to be pretty efficient. It seems like they've maximized space. You'll notice that this is actually a composite material, so unlike the Tundra's competitors that all use some kind of metal, either aluminum or steel, the new Tundra, much like the Toyota Tacoma, uses a composite. So it's molded. The best look at it comes right here. Honestly, it kind of feels like metal. Kind of looks like metal, but it's not metal. It's a composite. So questions remain as to durability. We're not really sure. I'm sure Toyota designed this to be as durable as possible. My big question is, if you drop something really heavy in it, will it bend or will it crack? I'm assuming they've designed it to be pretty durable, but those questions remain and will remain until we get some more data on the new Tundra. Let's climb inside here. So a couple things you will notice. There are 4 tie-down points. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are LED lights on either side of the bed. And then, of course, lights overhead. There's also a camera that will look down into the bed. I'm assuming it's this one and that this is probably the rear view camera. And then there's this rail system. A lot of manufacturers use this. This is Toyota's design. Honestly, it's kind of a dated design. You'll find the same part in the Tacoma. Other manufacturers have just come up with easier to use designs. But what this essentially is a sliding tie-down system. So you loosen this and it's what is it? Yeah, it's spring loaded, but that's just not real pleasant to operate there. And then once it's loose, you can slide these mounting points forward and backward, and then eventually tighten it back down, and there you go. And then you've got a mounting point. And you'll notice the rail system is, it's on either side of the bed, and then it's also up against the bulkhead here. So if you needed to, you could put some tie-down points up there, which could come in handy. The only other noteworthy thing back here is this AC inverter. This is a 120-volt AC inverter, 400-watt, 3-prong home-style power outlet. And pretty much every truck offers something like that these days. And it can come in handy. Tailgate also says Tundra along the top there. There's the rear 3/4 view. Something I noticed, so you've got this button over here. This bit over here, couple little quality control things going on with this truck. First, there's this I noticed. We're early in the production run for this truck. I mean, production run for this 3rd-gen Tundra is probably going to last 10 to 15 years. Yeah, there's some things for them to work out right there. I was trying to push that back in earlier. And then right here, this is not typical Toyota quality right here. This part, if you come over here and try to push that button, which doesn't exist over here, this part really doesn't feel very nice. And in fact, it feels like you could almost rip it off right here. So while we're here, here's the key. So pretty basic looking key, nothing on the back, Toyota emblem there. Here's lock, unlock, and then power down tailgate, but you still have to manually put it back up and then push and hold for the panic right there. I mentioned a little bit about payload and how these rock sliders eat into that. The Tundra really doesn't offer good payload. You'll see right here, the combined weight of occupants and cargo should never exceed 1,400 pounds. That is crazy low for a full-size truck. For the sake of comparison, the Ford Ranger, which is a mid-size truck, offers between 1,500 and 1,400 pounds in most configurations. And the new Ford Maverick even offers over 1,400 pounds. So not sure why Toyota places such a low priority on payload, especially given that these trucks have a reputation for being really tough. A 1,400 pound payload in a full-size truck to me doesn't exactly say toughness. And then on top of that, I mentioned the rock sliders. So this is a supplementary sticker that is added whenever accessories are added by the manufacturer, maybe at the port or by the dealer in some cases. But in this case, it says modifications to this vehicle have reduced the original load carrying capacity by 180 pounds. So factor that in the payload on this full-size truck is only 1,220 pounds. That means that the combined weight of you and up to 4 passengers plus everything in the bed cannot exceed 1,220 pounds. I've taken camping trips with friends where we've measured our payload, and it's exceeded that amount. So kind of crazy to think that I've been on simple camping trips with some mountain bikes that this truck would not technically be appropriate for. Yeah, payload. Not a lot of people pay attention to it, but it is vitally important. If you're in an accident and your vehicle is overloaded, you can be sued, and you're probably not going to win if you've overloaded your vehicle, and the manufacturer can void your warranty if you overload your vehicle. So that's probably the biggest drawback to the new Tundra here. Anyway, let's climb inside. So here is the window sticker, and then I've got a couple other reference materials printed out there. So 2022 Toyota Tundra 4x4 limited Crew Max 5.5, which means 5.5 foot bed. As equipped, this one comes in at just a hair over $60,000. When you factor in an absolutely insane $1,695 destination fee, we are well into predatory territory when it comes to destination fees. The new engine, like I mentioned, see, they're marketing it as a 3.5 liter, but it's really 3.4 liters, twin turbo V6, making 389 horsepower and 479 pounds-feet of torque. Fuel economy for the new engine is 17 city, 22 highway, 19 combined. I've printed out a few things here that should add some context to that. So this top sheet shows 3 different Tundras. This is from fueleconomy.gov. This is the site I recommend using anytime you're interested in learning about the fuel economy of a new vehicle. So what we've got here are 3 different Tundras. So 2022 Tundra 4-wheel drive regular gas V6. That's this vehicle. And then I've got the new upcoming Tundra Hybrid. I say upcoming because they're not quite on sale yet, but they do have EPA ratings. And then for a control, I've got the 2021 Tundra, which uses the ancient 5.7 liter V8. So here's this one, 17, 23, and 19, making 389 horsepower and 479 pounds-feet of torque. Compare that to the Hybrid, which is a premium of about $3,000. That vehicle makes 437 horsepower, so that's an improvement of about 50 horsepower, and 583 pounds-feet of torque. That's an improvement of 104 pound-feet of torque. But your fuel economy gain isn't quite what I thought it would be. Fuel economy for the Hybrid is 19 city, 22 highway, and 20 combined. Those are improvements of 2 city, a decrease of 1 on the highway, surprisingly, and then an increase of only 1 overall. Kind of surprising there. I thought it would be a much more significant advantage there. And then the old V8 was absolutely terrible. 13 city, 17 highway, 14 combined. So both of the new powertrains are a considerable improvement over the old V8. And then on the sheet below here, I've got a comparison of the new Tundra with its 2 powertrains, and then of the latest Ford F-150, which offers 2 very similar powertrains to what you can get in the Tundra. So the F-150, just as a quick refresher, twin turbo 3.5 liter V6. It's actually a 3.5 liter. It puts out 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque in its basic form. There's also a high output version, which we're not getting into here. And fuel economy from that is 18 city, 23 highway, and 20 combined. So comparing that to the gas Tundra, and you've got slightly more power. I mean, nobody's going to really notice the power difference there. 11 more horsepower and 21 additional pound-feet of torque. And it makes better fuel economy, at least according to the EPA test. 18 city, 23 highway, and 20 combined. That's improvement of 1 in the city, 0 highway, and then 1 combined. And then the Hybrid puts out 430 horsepower, which is 7 fewer than the new Tundra hybrid, and 570 pound-feet of torque, which is 13 fewer than the new Tundra hybrid. But the fuel economy benefits are quite significant, actually. The F-150 hybrid, that's the twin turbo EcoBoost power boost, excuse me. F-150 hybrid makes 23 city, 23 highway, and 23 combined. So 23 across the board. Those are improvements of 4 mpg in the city, 1 mpg on the highway, and 3 mpg combined relative to the new Tundra hybrid. So when you kind of add everything up, the new F-150 hybrid, out of all the vehicles here, still offers the best fuel economy with no real power penalty when you compare it to the new Tundra hybrid. So it seems that the F-150 is still king. Anyway, though, let's get back to the Tundra review here. So turn it on. There's now a red TRD engine start button because this one has the TRD off-road package, I guess. So aside from the new powertrain, the biggest change or improvement to the new Tundra is this infotainment system. The screen is absolutely enormous. Like, it completely dominates your whole experience with this vehicle here, and it sits up kind of high. But either way, here is Toyota's new infotainment system. This has now rolled out in the new Tundra, the new Sequoia, the new Lexus LX 600. Those are all TNGA-F platform vehicles, but it actually debuted in the new next generation Lexus NX. So this is designed for the US, the previous infotainment system. Toyota says the reason it was so terrible is because it was designed to Japanese sensibilities. Apparently this one was designed for the US market, and it's not bad. There are some weird like subscription things going on here. To get to the navigation, you have to subscribe, which to me is a sign of impending doom for the world when you have to just sign up and subscribe and pay monthly for things. But anyway, resolution's at least high. The system's somewhat easy to use. Here are your radio stations. Here's your Sirius presets, I guess. Phone, I'm not connected right now. Some different vehicle information, but it really doesn't go into depth. You've got trip information and then messages if there were any, which there are not, and then settings. This system is largely based on you logging in, and since this is a manufacturer press loaner, I haven't set up a profile or logged in or anything. Kind of weird to be doing that with a vehicle that isn't yours, but you get the gist. Overall, though, the touchscreen's better. The screen's a higher resolution. The layout is more modern. It's not frustrating to use, which is good. There's a camera system. The camera is terrible still, which is mind-blowing to me. Toyota had 15 years, and this camera's terrible. This is a 360-degree view, but you can't do that. I just reviewed a Genesis GV70 where you could, just as easily as you could on an iPad, swipe to look at all different views of the car. Not in the new Tundra. I really don't understand why they haven't done a better job with cameras. Here's the backup camera, and again, it's not good. It's bad. It's the same crappy camera from the previous Tundra, which is really disappointing. But maybe not a super important thing, but it was a missed opportunity, in my opinion. There are a bunch of different camera angles, so you've got off the front, off the back, front wings, call them, rear wings or rear side, and then a camera that shows what's in the bed. That does come in handy. And then here's an off-road camera that gives you some pitch and roll angles, shows you what's on the side, shows you what's behind you, and again allows you to adjust a bunch of different views. This view kind of shows you what's underneath you, or at least what's going to be underneath you. As for other things, let's take a look at the HVAC. The buttons feel really good. Heated and ventilated seats. You get all these little paddles for adjusting things like temperature and fan speed. The volume knob, yeah, there's still a volume knob. It feels really, really nice. And this is one of the nicest parts of this new Tundra. Is just a really, really nice knob. Down here you've got some vehicle controls. So this is if you decouple a trailer. Here's the camera view, which we already looked at. That turns stability off, and then this locks the electronic locking rear differential, which you get with the TRD off-road package. Electronic parking brake, shift lever for the new 10-speed automatic. Here are the four-wheel drive controls. So 2 high, push to go into 4 high, and then you'd have to be in neutral and then push and go back to go into 4 low. And okay, because it's a Toyota product, it's just gonna beep incessantly. So we'll go back into 2 high, and then here are some different drive modes. So right now we're on, so the way it works is you push this button and then this dial selects different things. So you go like drive mode, and then you twist the dial and it cycles between sport and, well, eco. Yeah, there you go. Sport, normal, and eco. And then you have to be in 4 low to do like multi-terrain select and crawl control, which kind of a bummer. But yeah, transfer in 2 high, DAC unavailable. Same goes with the rear locker. Yeah, it just beeps. This car just beeps a lot. I know like on the F-150, you can lock the rear differential in 2 high. And I was actually in a situation with this truck where it would have been nice to be able to do that, but Toyota's kind of controlling when it comes to that stuff. So you don't get that flexibility. Wireless charging pad here, some storage, some cup holders. And this is pretty clever. So tray here, big tray here, and then it slides back and allows you access to the center console without having to open the whole thing. And then here you go, access to the whole console, and there's some like cubbies and stuff, and there's a little outlines of the Tundra, the Sequoia, and the Tacoma. No Land Cruiser on there because they want us to forget that the Land Cruiser exists. And then there's a USB-A port and a USB-C port. It's nice to see Toyota adopting USB-C. There are some coin slots here, and then there's a little tray with, once again, you can see the little truck outlines on the tray. Kind of fun. Steering wheel is, well, new design. So here are controls for radar cruise control, lane keep assist. This vehicle comes with a bevy of active safety features, which is nice. And then this controls the screen right there. The screen should look pretty familiar to you if you've been in any Toyota products from the past, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. Full color, but kind of an old design. You can get this truck with a digital gauge cluster, being that this is kind of a middle tier trim though. You just get the mechanical gauge cluster, which is charming in its own sense. Beyond that though, everything in here feels pretty good. Materials used feel really nice. Nothing feels cheap. Switchgear all feels good. Plastics feel pretty nice. Yeah, over on the side here, you've got light, automatic high beams, start, stop, on, off, and some other things. Heated steering wheel, and then this button turns on that AC inverter in the back. And then this button, it's kind of counterintuitive, but of course the Tundra preserves its power sliding rear window, which is really unique. Only the Tundra and the 4Runner offer a power sliding rear window. I'm not sure if the Sequoia, the new Sequoia, still has it, but it's counterintuitive. You pull down to close it and you push up to open it. So there we go. It's open. If I had smelly dogs in the back seat, I could open that and it would pull the smell out the back window. And then to close it, you pull down, which again, counterintuitive. Even says push open on it right there. No sunroof on this one, but you can get the new Tundra with a panoramic sunroof. Let's go check out the back seat. And here we are in the back seat of the new Tundra. Crew cab is positively massive, so I can lean all the way. Back here, and I've still got plenty of room. Sitting in my normal position, I've got a full hand and then some. I'm about 5'11". That's where I have the seat when I'm driving. So plenty of space. What else? Yeah, there's kind of a transmission hump, actually a pretty large hump. But I can sprawl out here. On the back of the center console, you've got a USB-A and a USB-C port, along with another 120 volt AC inverter. That's another 3-prong outlet. And then there are a couple air vents, a little cubby, 2 cup holders, pockets on both seat backs, and then fold down armrest with 2 cup holders in it and a place to slot your phone there. And then that's about it. Overhead, we've got lights, we've got hooks, and then your grab handles are up here. And yeah, that's it. Let's take a look under the seat. And then they've got some cleaning products under there, and then there is some storage with slots for dividers too. Okay, driving the new 2022 Toyota Tundra. I should add, my personal vehicle is a 2008 Land Cruiser, which uses the same 5.7 liter V8 as the old Tundra. So I'm pretty familiar with that engine. Power was good. It's about 381 horsepower. And the 6-speed automatic transmission felt pretty dated, and the fuel economy from that engine is what was just downright awful. This engine looks to rectify that with 19 mpg combined. Whether you see that in the real world will probably vary. Yikes, I've been seeing 16.5 over 121 miles so far here, so not quite 19. Just to reiterate, this is not the hybrid, and it makes 389 horsepower and 479 pounds-feet of torque. 10-speed automatic. Little slippage there. There's 50 miles per hour, so I wouldn't call it fast. 0 to 60, from what I read, is a little over 6 seconds is what it's been clocked at. But the powertrain is certainly smooth, and the ride is pretty nice. What I don't love is that fake engine noise. I don't think you can turn it off, but yeah, it's way too consistent to be anything but a fake noise that's pumped into the cabin. Truck makers have started doing that since they've moved from V8 engines down to V6s. I guess so that people's egos don't get hurt because their truck isn't as loud as their old truck. Yeah, I just find it a little bit monotonous. It kind of sounds like exhaust drone. You know, aftermarket exhaust systems that maybe aren't real sophisticated tend to have a drone, and that's what this fake engine noise kind of reminds me of. Anyway, here we are demonstrating the turning radius. I just made a U-turn, and it took about 4 lanes worth of width to do the U-turn. Steering takes a long time to get all the way to lock, so I was kind of surprised there. That doesn't mean the turning radius is good or bad. I was just kind of surprised at how long it took. Beyond that, cabin feels pretty nice. Materials used seem to be high quality. The switchgear all feels pretty good. You've got the big, huge screen here if you like that. I'm not of the mindset that a bigger screen is necessarily better. And this screen kind of seems big just for the sake of being big, but the new infotainment system, it seems like it has room to grow. There's internet connectivity side to it that to me means that it will probably receive updates over time, hopefully. And I think there's room for improvement. Right now it feels kind of basic, pretty new. It's not bad, but I'd like to see what they can do with it, maybe with a few update cycles. 10-speed automatic feels pretty good. Everything with the powertrain is pretty smooth. Powertrain overall feels pretty dialed in. Again, it's not quite as efficient as the F-150 with the comparable twin-turbo V6. Not quite as powerful either, but the power differences are negligible there, as are the fuel economy differences almost. If you do a lot of driving, you might notice the F-150 being a little more efficient. 25 miles per hour over that small speed bump there. That was the second one. We've got the third one coming up here. It's a lot bigger. Let's go 35. Hey, this is the TRD off-road. Felt okay. Bilstein shocks absorbed the wobbling and absorbed the bump pretty well there. Steering feels pretty nice. Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about with this truck. It's obviously all new, but it's just it's evolutionary. It's certainly not revolutionary when you compare it to the old one. Yeah, the powertrain's better. Yeah, the infotainment system is certainly modern, but it's really not. It's not much of a risk for Toyota, honestly, and it feels pretty conservative all around. The backup camera still sucks. I think I mentioned that before. It's not the worst one I've seen, but for an all-new vehicle like the Tundra and for a vehicle that's this important, I would have thought that they would use a new camera part, but apparently they haven't. The craziest thing about it is the front-facing camera and how distorted it is. At the edges, it's completely blown out. It has kind of a fisheye view, and it comes on at low speeds in traffic, and with cars driving by, it just looks really, really bad. I'm surprised that Toyota didn't take this little bit of low-hanging fruit and fix the camera, but whatever. So there is your look at the new 2022 Toyota Tundra. Overall, this truck, like I said, it fixes the powertrain, which in the previous gen Tundra was completely obsolete. Fuel economy was so bad. And it fixes the infotainment system, which again in the old Tundra was pretty antiquated. It modernizes the cabin. It modernizes the exterior. Exterior design is probably kind of polarizing, but it at least seems modern. The truck visually, it looks bigger. It looks like a vehicle from 2022 as opposed to the old one that was using a design that was finalized probably sometime around 2005. So big differences there. Overall though, this is an evolution, not necessarily a revolution. There's not a lot here that's really risky or bold or super like technologically advanced. I think Ford is still the leader in this segment when it comes to new truck technology. They're the company that rolls stuff out first. They're the company that rolled out an aluminum body first. They're the company that now has a built-in generator on their hybrid truck. They're the company that has built-in payload scales. They tend to add all that new stuff first, and then General Motors and Ram add it second a few years later. And then you've got ever conservative Toyota that might or might not add it, and it might take them somewhere between 4 and 10 years to add the technology. The people that buy the Tundra generally lean toward Toyota because they're known to be reliable. I'm not challenging whether or not that's the case, but I think trucks from other manufacturers probably aren't as unreliable as they're often made out to be, so keep that in mind. Payload on this truck is really kind of a bummer. I mean, 1,400 pounds, then you take away 180 because of these rock sliders. You've got 1,220 pounds to work with in a full-size truck with room for 5 people to ride along comfortably. It's very likely that you will find the limits of the payload capacity in this vehicle at some point, multiple points over the course of your ownership. So that's kind of a real weird thing there. I would expect 200 to 500 more pounds of payload from this truck, but that brings us back to my earlier point that while Ford in particular and the other American manufacturers seem to design trucks for both work truck duty, fleet duty, and like day-to-day private use, the Tundra seems to be designed specifically for private use. Yeah, this truck can tow. Yeah, it can haul to a degree. But it's more meant for towing, say, your boat to the lake on the weekend rather than towing heavy-duty excavators and work equipment like the Ford F-150 is probably more often used for. So that's the new Tundra. Evolutionary design, nothing really revolutionary here. I think the things that were appealing about the old Tundra that started to drop off in recent years will appeal with the new Tundra, and this vehicle should have renewed appeal among buyers because Toyota has really fixed the most glaring issues of the old Tundra when it comes to the new one here. So that's my take on the new Tundra. Yeah, kind of a big deal. There's a new Tundra for the first time in 15 years. Thank you for watching.